Look, yes, the channel is called This Toy Makes Me Happy, but that doesn't mean every toy makes me happy. There are figures I just don't like, for whatever reasons of my own. But there are also figures that I was really excited about, and when I got them, they just kind of fell flat for me. Here is a list of some semi-recent figures that, to me, were just a little disappointing for one reason or another. Of the 3 Legacy Insecticons, Kickback is the most meh, Shrapnel is the most interesting, but Bombshell is probably the most disappointing. And it really just stems from the insect horn. For such an iconic head design, they really have such a hard time figuring this out on Bombshell figures. He's not a bad toy, but I find myself kind of just not caring much about him compared to the other 2 members of the team. Going from a childhood favorite to just a, well, I needed to complete the set figure is a bit of a letdown for Bombshell. This one might get me some heat. I know of some viewers asking me to review this figure because they really like it, but I honestly don't have much to say about it. Wreck-Gar is a cool character. As a kid, I grew up watching Monty Python with my mother and adored his portrayal by Eric Idle in the '86 movie. By all accounts, I should love having a Wreck-Gar figure like this. I think my issue is, he's too big, and he feels a little cheap. Like they designed a good transformation, but the plastic feels thin, to the point where it's almost see-through in some spots. And I just don't feel a character as fun as Wreck-Gar should be cheaped out on. He's not a bad figure, he just doesn't meet my expectations. Tarantulas is definitely one of my favorite Beast Wars characters, but I've never been a huge fan of his Season 1 design. I'm just more of a Transmetal kind of guy. But I was excited to see him get represented in Legacy, and I understand why, coming off of Kingdom, they went with this look. It just doesn't work for my tastes in person. I have grown to appreciate this figure a little more after experiencing this hideous orange version, though. This figure just makes me wish I bought better blurs in the past. It's not a terrible figure, it just doesn't quite nail blur. The head sculpt looks a little off in my eyes, the arm kibble gets in the way, and there's a QC issue on my copy where the accessories don't stay pegged into his hand very well. Just overall, he's fine for the shelf with the rest of the '86 cast, but he's not a figure I'm going to mess with that much in the long run. It's the lion face. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. As time has passed, I just cannot figure out what they were thinking with this sculpt. Everything else on Lio Convoy is pretty good, representing a fantastic character, giving him his signature look in robot mode, nods to all his old toy gimmicks, and then you look at that face and it just crumbles. He's just so sad. Yes, I'm aware of Takara's improved version, but I don't like the mold enough to buy it again, honestly.
If you like this content, you should consider supporting the channel.
That was awesome, Motormaster. Thank you.
And if you don't support us, I will head straight to your home, take my sword, and drive it into your...
Okay. That was great. Let's get some lunch.
I could really go for some sashimi.
Some people like this mold. Some people don't. I am mostly neutral. My biggest issue is the horribly designed shoulders that restrict his movement. Animated Bumblebee was such a great character, and to restrict this expressive character in such a way just leaves me disappointed with the figure, honestly. It's sculpted beautifully, though it does rely on way too many clear plastic parts. But it's really those annoying shoulders that hurt my opinion of the toy the most. I guess it just bothers me that the one Bumblebee I was really looking forward to ended up not being perfect. A lot of people hate Point Blank, and while I'm not going to defend this figure's faults, I just kind of find myself on it. My biggest issue isn't actually with Point Blank himself, but actually with his target master, Peacemaker. I've touched on this kind of thing before, but I feel after Siege, the target masters have started sliding back in quality. And while yes, Like any of the master gimmicks, they are essentially just fancy accessories. For me personally, I liked that they were finally getting improved upon and made to feel like little characters. So getting a hold of Point Blank only to find a mildly frustrating transformation, packaged together with a frankly lame Target Master that just folds in half, was overall disappointing to me. RID 2001 is one of my favorite eras of Transformers, which I think has contributed to my disappointment in this new Sideburn figure. The original Sideburn was my first figure of the line, and was a fantastic marvel of engineering for the time, which is probably why my expectations weren't quite met with this new attempt. It's not that this figure is bad, it just doesn't quite meet the level of care and quality I'd want for a new iteration of Sideburn. Having to pull double duty as Shadow Striker didn't help much, and while I don't own Shadow Striker to compare it, it feels like the compromise to both characters left us with a figure that doesn't quite pull off either very well. The vehicle mode especially suffers for Sideburn. While I understand they didn't want to pay for a Dodge Viper license this time around, that hasn't stopped them before from at least getting close. I also find the shoulder joints frustrating to manipulate, and the lack of white outline on the flames just leaves them blending into the rest of the deco, rather than standing out like they should. Effort was made, and I don't hate the figure, I just feel Sideburn especially deserved better. I was so hyped for Nova Prime. What a genius reuse of the honestly decent Siege Magnus mold. And they went so hard on the retooling, using elements of Magnus and the Galaxy Convoy versions, or whatever they called it, to put together what, from the front, looked like an amazing Nova Prime. So who the heck penny pinched on the paint? Honestly, I'm usually very forgiving when it comes to cost-cutting measures like hollow parts and the like. But when a neglected part is prominently shown in a mode, it can become an eyesore. And the back of his wings are an eyesore, especially since they are very much a focal point in the vehicle mode. This bothered me so much I didn't bother doing a video on this figure. And while he is absolutely stunning in robot mode, and I love that he even exists, I feel the pang of disappointment every time I look at him and think of those wings. Well, there was no other choice for the number one spot on this list. And I'll be honest, for me, it's probably my own fault. I anticipated this figure for so long. It was probably impossible for it to live up to the hype in my head. Overall, Swoop looks great when displayed with the other Dinobots, and I'm happy to have him with them. But there's just little things that add up that make this figure overall disappointment for me. His beast head is way too big. To the point it's just ridiculous in Dino mode in proportion to the rest of him. The rounded shape of it also makes him look a little goofy. I would have preferred a slightly more angular look to maintain that robotic feel. That I think works better for the style. Then there's the transformation. It's physically painful to do. While the decompressing chest worked pretty well on Slug, with Swoop it's just a massive pain. I don't like doing it, and that hurts the overall experience with the figure. He does look excellent in robot mode, honestly. I just wish he was a better overall toy to mess with, especially since he is my favorite Dinobot alongside Snarl. And there you have it, my top 10 disappointments in semi-recent Transformers releases. I'm sure some of you will not agree with my choices, but that's what's awesome about this hobby. We all get to have our opinions on what we like and dislike, and that's okay. But who's a figure you were really looking forward to, only to have them fall flat when you got them? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, don't forget to subscribe, and if you're in a position to support the channel, memberships are available. But above all else, in these crazy times, even if some things like an action figure release might disappoint you, try to stay happy.